Okay, it's going to be a review of the first Raw of 2025. This took place in the brand new Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, and this is the first Raw ever on Netflix. I'll touch on some of the Netflix stuff at the end of the video in terms of signing up for it and everything. Not as easy as some of the other sites. But this is my first time ever getting Netflix. But hey, we'll get to that at the end of the video. It's not really that important. But bottom line is I was able to get through the whole show. I mean, it was an eventful show. I mean, did the show have its flaws? Absolutely. Was it a bitch to sit through with all the commercials? Absolutely. But hey, we start off with The Rock. Rock comes out first, gets a hero's welcome. Everybody loved The Rock. Lots of Rocky chants. He was just very, very gracious out there, just very thankful. Thank Cody Rhodes, for carrying the company. He said to say hello to Mama Rhodes for me. And, he did say the word bullshit. So I'm assuming that Netflix is going to let, some of the S words and, maybe even some of the F words slide. So that's pretty cool. He said, let's get down to the real thing. Finally, The Rock has come back to Los Angeles. So you get to see him interact with Cody. I saw like a video pop up on YouTube, talking about I was under the impression that Rock and Cody were going to really, get into it here, but it didn't come off like that at all. Not the last time you would see The Rock the rest of the night, but The Rock is the first segment that kind of leads us to the tribal combat match between Roman and Solo Sikoa. I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, they go 20 minutes. This didn't go over the top like Solo and Cody. I would definitely say much easier to watch, a lot more fun than Solo and Cody from SummerSlam. I thought it was pretty damn good. I mean, the crowd was hot for it. There was like 2 or 3 commercial breaks. So, that was like my biggest gripe with it. But whenever they were in the ring and just doing their thing here, it came off good. The fans were behind Roman. There wasn't one guy in the crowd, hating on Roman or hating on Cena. They hated on somebody else. But I'll get to that later on in the video. Lots of interference, though. Lots of interference. But it was good, though. It definitely worked. You saw Tamatonga. He was the first guy to really take away the referee. So you got to see good camera work there. I thought Fatu looked awesome when he interfered. And then you get Sammy coming out to help. You get Jimmy Uso coming out to help. It started to feel a little bit silly. But then I thought really Kevin's interference definitely worked because a lot of why he's beefing with Cody has to do with Roman and, fighting the bloodline for years. So Kevin just wanted to put an end to Roman here to make sure that he didn't get the, win this tribal combat match. And I thought it worked pretty well. I mean, I love Cody coming out to make the save. I thought Cody was already in the crowd, though, but he actually comes from the entranceway here. So I was assuming that he was still sitting in the front row, but I guess not. So yeah, the Kevin and Cody stuff worked out well. And then once everything cleared, once the deck cleared, Roman gets the win over Solo with the spear. And, I guess the highlight of this whole thing is The Rock comes out and he insists that he awards Roman the match with the Alpha Flower. So, it came off pretty cool. I was expecting maybe The Rock to turn on Roman, to get some type of swerve. There was really like nothing shocking that happened this whole night, which, you could definitely argue is a good thing. This just kind of came off to me like Rock was just there to just be a spokesman. Like it doesn't feel like Rock is going to be majorly involved at WrestleMania. I mean, I was hoping he would be. I still love to see Rock versus Roman, Rock versus Cody. But maybe Cena's really going to fill that void this year. Maybe that's the thought process. But just going to end it right there. Roman goes over Solo. I think the match was good. It was as good as it could have been. It's the easiest way to say it. In terms of replay value, because of all the interference, I'm not going to say it had a shitload of replay value. But, all right, so Rhea Ripley actually takes on Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. It was fine for what it was, man. It was only about 10 minutes. Liv did some crazy stuff here with Eddie Guerrero mocking, which I didn't care for, but she's done that before. I didn't think Liv looked that good, but it was good. It was a good performance from Rhea. I thought she was dominant here. Her offense on Liv looked spectacular. And yeah, so Rhea goes over convincingly. She even fights off the interference from Dominic and Raquel and wins the women's championship back. So this just came off to me like, they're not screwing around. We got to put the championship on someone legit, heading into WrestleMania. So I don't mind this decision at all. I guess the highlight of this whole thing is just Dominic. Dominic, acted like he wanted to go back to mommy. And Rhea Ripley does the Jericho kicking the balls thing to Dominic, which was cool. So Dominic being a supporting player, being some people would say Dominic is the MVP in regards to just doing the dirty work. So I could definitely agree with that. Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre. Just going to focus on the matches first, and I'll go back to some of the promos before the main event. Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre. A disappointing match. I just think they went on too late. By the time this happened, you had seen, Rock, Cena, Hogan, Roman. You saw everybody except Punk and Rollins up to this point. So, I think Jay, he got a big entrance with Travis Scott. Not a huge Travis Scott fan. He's more of a mainstream rapper. But hey, it looks like they're really getting behind him with WrestleMania and the theme song and everything, and he helps Jey Uso with the entrance. But yeah, I forgot. Undertaker comes out as the American Badass to kind of, give Rhea Ripley the stamp of approval. Just want to mention that before I forget it. So you got to see Taker as well. Forgot about that. All right. So, Jey Uso and Drew here, once this thing started, I think the wrong guy went over. I'm a big Jey Uso fan. I was a huge supporter of him, in the bloodline, everything he did turning babyface, turning on Roman, even the stuff with Sammy at the original War Games. I thought, Jay had a lot to be proud of, even going back to the Roman Hell in a Cell days during the pandemic. I like a lot of what Jay did, but I think we're at a phase right now where he's becoming more of an entertainer. It's more sizzle than steak. And I don't know, man. Something about this match, it just didn't hit for me. I just felt like it was just there. I felt like Drew lost his heat. It definitely felt like a lot of people wanted to see Drew. I just felt like Drew just should have squashed Jey Uso here. That's just how it came off to me. Now, I think you could kind of interpret this as, maybe Drew is going to stay on SmackDown. He did a promo with Cody on SmackDown, so that leads me to believe that Drew and Cody are going to meet somewhere down the line, whether it be Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, who knows? I think that's a possibility. So maybe they just wanted Drew to, do the honors before he bows out gracefully. I think that's the thought process there. But the match was just okay. It was just an okay match. Another disappointing Jey Uso match, I have to say. I think Drew should have definitely, this just felt like Drew should have squashed him, especially in this spot where it just didn't feel like the crowd was that invested in it. All right, so let's get down to some of the interesting promos of the night. Cena's promo. This went on pretty early. I mean, this went on, I think, even before the 9 o'clock spot. So Cena comes out and basically just telling everybody it's going to be his last year. The most important thing is he mentioned the month of December. So I was under the belief that Cena's last match is going to be at WrestleMania. But because he said December, I guess this is going to carry on the whole year. Maybe this is just Cena's like last year as a full timer, or just his last year in general. It's going to be the whole year. So I thought it was just WrestleMania season. So hey, you're going to get John for the whole year. So that's a good thing. I think Cena did a good job in this promo. The fans were totally behind him. They were very respectful. They were telling him that he deserves it in terms of having a 17th championship reign. And Cena tried to downplay. He's like, no, guys, that's not going to happen. I'm going to win an Oscar before I win the 17th title. So I thought it was cool, man. I thought it was cool. And then all of a sudden, we get kind of that goofy version of Cena where he's like, wait a minute, the Royal Rumble's this month. If I win the Rumble, this will be a miracle. So they said he's only going to win a 17th world champion if it was going to be a miracle. So I don't know. I still think they're going to go with Cena and Gunther. I think Cena, but by the execution of this promo, it just kind of felt to me like Cena could possibly win the Royal Rumble, and he just wants to create this myth that it's going to be impossible. So I thought it was cool. I don't have a problem with Cena going for the 17th, world championship. I think it'd be pretty cool. I mean, we've seen him come up short against Roman, but, on this stage, it'd be pretty damn cool. But we'll see how it's executed, though. It should be interesting to see how many people really, stay behind Cena to this degree. And I'll tell you, man, this is like one of the first times where it felt like Roman and Cena, or both, like positively received on the same show. I don't know if that's ever happened before. I mean, it definitely didn't happen around 2014 or 2015. But hey, I mean, if you had told me that Roman and Cena were going to get treated like legends and that Hogan is going to get booed out of the building, if you told me that like 10 years ago, I would have said, you're fucking kidding me. You got to be kidding me. So that's exactly what happened there. So let me make sure I didn't forget about anything. All right. So you got Undertaker coming out as the American Badass. You had the Cena promo. Shit, am I forgetting anything? I mean, they in terms of The Rock, he gave Roman the endorsement. He put the Ofafala, probably saying that wrong. God, I can never say that right. On Roman, and then they actually show him like, did anyone notice that he left Triple H hanging with the handshake? I mean, Triple H was hugging him and talking to him for like a minute, and then he tries to shake his hand again, and he just kind of left Triple H hanging. I thought that was funny, and then, Rock gets in his car saying he's going to be at NXT, which is going to be tonight. So that was pretty much it. But yeah, the gut feeling I have is that Rock is not going to be heavily involved with WrestleMania. I think if he was, I mean, you would have at least tried to, initiate something in terms of a feud tonight. And it just seemed like he was just very respectful to Roman and Cody. But that's pretty much that. All right. So let's just jump into it. Hogan. It seemed like Hogan came out to promote his own beer. And he comes out with Jimmy Hart, and he basically comes out and rips off his shirt, and you have a Netflix shirt. I'll tell you, this was hard to listen to. Hogan gets, I'm going to say he gets booed out of the building. This has got to be the most heat I think I've ever heard Hogan get, at least in the WWE. Take away the WCW bash at the beach and all that stuff. That was done intentionally as a heel. I don't want to compare it to that. But obviously, this was different. This is Hogan just getting booed. I think it's well documented. I think the main reason he's getting booed is his reputation is just destroyed. I mean, I don't know how far you got to go back. I think it's a combination of everything. I think the racism thing that leaked about 10 years ago, obviously that's probably the worst, part about it. And, obviously you have all these dark side of the rings where everyone is constantly, proving that Hogan is a politician and he's selfish. And so it's just a plethora of a lot of different reasons. But yeah, man, it's tough though, because when you really think about it, Hogan has done a lot, for this company. I mean, obviously he has. And, this version of Hogan where he looks old and he just looks a little bit, it's just, he just looks like a sad sack out there. It's as simple as that. But, if anyone wants to pop in Rocky 3 as a reminder to just how fucking amazing Hogan could be when he's on top of his game, I mean, you could do it, and you'll just appreciate how good Hogan is. So I'm a little bit torn about it. I mean, a lot of you guys know I'm more into the technical wrestlers and Ring of Honor and Chris Benoit, Mr. Wrestling match and all that shit. But, I'll be lying to you if I told you guys that I didn't love Hogan. I do. Like, a part of me does love Hogan for what he did to the company. So, man, I started like tearing up, man. I was just like, man, this is just not good. I don't know who you want to blame this on. I'm not going to blame it on one guy. It seemed to me like it was a mutual decision where Hogan wanted to promote something. I mean, as soon as he came out, I said, this is not a good idea. I said, I remember he got booed at WrestleMania in Tampa Bay a couple of years ago. So I just knew it wasn't going to go that well. And as soon as he came out, you could just hear it. And it seems like the booing got worse and worse, as it went on. So it's a damn shame. I will say this about Hogan. He didn't pivot, but he looked like he wanted to. Like he it seemed to me like he acknowledged the booing, and it felt like he wanted to kind of take the whole thing in a different direction. And I don't know what it is. Maybe too much pressure. Everybody's just crunched for time. They were even, there was even a segment with the New Day where, they were bitching at them that the segment was over. So I think it was something like that. He just didn't. He didn't want to break character for whatever the reason. But you could feel that he did though. So, yeah, it should be interesting to see how Hogan responds from this. I don't know what you could have him do at this stage to kind of rectify, because this is not the way you want Hogan's career to end. Maybe you could do something on Saturday night's main event, and maybe that would get a better reaction. Maybe this was just wrong place, wrong time. I would definitely agree. I wouldn't have had Hogan come out, but you get the feeling it was more of a Hogan decision than a Triple H call or anybody else, insisting that he makes the appearance. But hey, man, let's just get down to the main event. We got CM Punk taking on Seth Rollins. Definitely the match of the night. I thought it was great stuff. Not the easiest match to watch in the world. I wouldn't say they had the best of chemistry. It definitely looked a little bit rough in some patches here. But for the most part, it did deliver. I thought you got a surprising, clean finish here. But yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was a good match. I thought Punk looked heavily motivated. In the ring, even the backstage segment where he's stretching, it looked like the best version of Punk in terms of motivation. So, everything that these guys did, since Survivor Series with, selling how much they hate each other, the promo where they emptied the tank on Raw was phenomenal. I think Punk did a good job of, especially on this, with the go home promo and with this show right here, really, I think he got more fans on his side. I think he opened up about Vince, and I think that really kind of backed up a lot of the things that he said over the years about the darts finally being removed. So I think Punk did the best he could do of, trying to, erase some of the hypocrisy that he's been criticized of the last couple of years or whatever. But yeah, I think the match was good. I thought they busted their ass. There were some awkward moments here, especially that neck breaker. Punk actually does a neck breaker to Rollins off the top rope. It looked rough. It didn't look like they botched it. It just looked painful. But, Seth was selling the fact that he has a bad neck. He's like, how's your neck? How's your leg? So, they did work over that. I mean, the go-to-sleeps were phenomenal here. I mean, both guys, it felt like they executed like a million go-to-sleeps. Even Punk busted out some of the curb stomps here. There was a pedigree on the table. And then Rollins follows it up with a curb stomp. Punk actually gets his foot on the rope. I'll tell you, man, that they did a lot here. They did a lot of good stuff. The tables look different, though. They look like they're like made of marble now. So I don't know if there's a way you can break those tables. It just look like a different structure. But the best sequence of the night in terms of chemistry, and man, this came off great. Oh, man, what was it again? The buckle bomb into the Falcon Arrow, and then Punk, I want to say it was a go to sleep after the counter of the Falcon Arrow. Man, that was sweet as hell. And there was a really awesome rope break where Punk actually gets his foot on the rope after the curb stomp. That was awesome. There was a Fight Forever champ. And the ending was cool, too. The ending was really, really cool. Man, it looked like Seth was going for another there must have been like 10 go to sleep attempts in this match. But the ending, I think Seth was going for go to sleep. Punk actually counters it into another go to sleep. Rollins actually bounces off the rope and then falls into Punk in the go to sleep position. And then Punk gives another go to sleep to Rollins. It was an awesome ending. It was an awesome sequence right there. I'm a little bit shocked that Rollins did the job to Punk here, especially with all the interviews and the animosity. And you could feel the passion and the hatred in his voice throughout this whole thing. And it brought the best out of Rollins. But to be completely honest with you, man, Rollins was really not that over in this match. For a lot of people that it just feels like there's a lot of people, and you definitely don't hear it as much in the WWE crowd. It's probably more of an AEW crowd or, more of the alternate fan base. But Punk is really, he's really, really polarizing. But when he's facing Seth, it doesn't feel like Seth is carrying around that banner, that anti-Punk banner, and this is the poster boy for anti-Punk people. It doesn't feel like that. It does feel like Rollins is still like really not as over as he used to be. And I know when he won the Rumble, like he really, got over at that point. And then, even when the pandemic ended, he started to tweak his entrance and, the theme song changed and it felt like he really, really got over. But I don't know if Rollins has really, reached, the pinnacle of his popularity that he used to have. I just don't feel like Rollins is that over anymore. And Punk's popularity was, I'm going to say, it wasn't like it was split. I would say that it was like 75-25. I mean, there were some like "Let's Go Rollins" chants, but it felt very specific. It felt like it was just a specific amount of fans. It didn't feel like it kind of spread throughout the rest of the building. So I'll just end it right there, guys. It had so much star power on it. From Cena to Hogan to Taker to Rock to Punk to you name it. I mean, it was such an eventful show. But hey, I don't know if I can watch Raw every single week in its entirety with the commercials. I think it'll be rough. But I'll give it a shot though. I'll give it a shot. I think they're going to try to make this as eventful as possible, at least until WrestleMania season. If it starts to kind of become mature and it leads into some sort of depression, then you could always cancel it. But I think give them the benefit of the doubt. I think at least until WrestleMania, I think this is going to be a hell of a ride. But we'll see what happens, man. Then we could just focus on. I'll try to review Raw next week for the second week, and if it ends up being a disaster of a review, then I'll know when's the right time to stop reviewing Raw. Trust me, this is like the first time I've ever reviewed like a non-classic Raw. But you get the point. Now we can focus on the Rumble coming February 1st. It should be really, really fun to see. All right, yeah, forgot to mention it. Probably the downer of the night is the Rumble going to Saudi Arabia. What the fuck? The Saudi Arabia crowds are not bad, but man, like I'm not going to say that they're the worst crowds in the world, but man, I mean, this company is they're really reaching right now in terms of just trying to become a global monster. But hey, man, they have the most money, so I think they wanted the Rumble. But it does suck, though. I think Raw's coming to Madison Square Garden in March, so some of you guys that live in the United States could look forward to that. But yeah, man, Saudi Arabia getting the Royal Rumble, one of the big fours. It really does suck. But that needs to be a 2-night event, though. It definitely needs to be a 2-night event, but we'll see. Let me just end it right there before this drags on anymore, and I'm out.